Hey everybody, Dave here. Hope you're having an awesome day. So, I found this Marvin the Martian at my local Target on clearance. It's from the movie Space Jam. And being a kid of the 80s, Looney Tunes was one of my go-tos on Saturday morning. Grab a blanket, a bowl of cereal, and watch cartoons on Saturday morning. It's just kids these days, they don't know what they're missing out on. But anyways, always loved Looney Tunes, really loved Marvin the Martian, and I want to make something cool out of this guy. So, come on, let's do it. Okay, there's my Marvin the Martian. I think he's pretty cool, and there's a little Stormtrooper. So, I'm gonna get the heads popped off here, and I need to work on something for the peg system here because that peg's a little too small, but that's all right. So I'm gonna paint the body red. I think I'm going to paint like his belt to kind of match the green skirt thing that he wears. And then his hands, they're white in the original. So I think I'm going to paint those Stormtrooper hands white. And then the bottom of the shoe has a little red line on it. So I think I'll go ahead and custom paint a little red line on the bottom of these shoes. And then fill in the little black areas maybe with a dark green. So let's get a primer here. I was using this new Krylon primer. It's a white primer. Didn't really cover that well. Maybe I should have taken some fingernail polish and taken those little marks off. But I don't know. I didn't like this Krylon as much as I thought I would. But I'm going to give it about 4 more coats here. And it did finally cover. So I think this is a good base to work with. Now, going back to that peg system, you can see the ball is just a little bit too small. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal the ball off of this one, the original peg. So I'm just using my hobby miter saw, and I'm just cutting that. And once I got that off, I'll get it sanded down and get it cleaned up. And then over here, I'm going to pop off just the ball, and I'm going to keep the peg because what I'd like to do is drill a hole into this. Be careful when you're doing this with your fingers because you don't want to hit your fingers, but I got a little hole in there, and now that I have that, I can use the peg and the glue to hold that all together really strong. So I'll hit that with a little glue, and that worked out great. Masked off the feet here. He looks like he's going to go for a little swim, and the hands, they just popped out. So, all right, I'm using some Citadel red here, but it's not airbrush paint, so what I need to do is put it in there, and I'll thin it out a little bit, mix it up, and I just use some airbrush thinner. And now we'll get spraying. I've been trying to use the airbrush more than spray paint. It just has given me a little bit more success. So just taking the tape off here. It's kind of like Christmas time, and looks like he's got some nice white kicks. Here I am just hitting this with the red. Like I said, he's got a red sole on his shoe, so that's looking pretty cool. I'm liking how this is coming so far. Okay, so I'm going to paint all the joints. Instead of leaving it black, I'm going to paint them green to kind of match the helmet. I think that'll be a nice touch overall. I have this green, but it didn't actually work, so I'm going to go buy some more green. Until then, I'm looking at this, and the way they painted it is just all one color. So I'm going to hit a little bit lighter yellow on the top, and then it didn't quite show up great in the camera, but I went ahead and did a little bit darker yellow on the bottom, and I think there you can see kind of the tonal difference. I think that looks pretty nice. So the Raygun, this is the old school from Space Jam, so I think I want to do the original cartoon. I found this Final Faction gun, and the handle is really nice. It kind of fits nicely, but I got to figure out that square part in the barrel. Also on the back, I'm going to just snip off just a little bit of this so it looks like the barrel hangs and extends past the back a little bit, like the one in the cartoon. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. Found this in a junk bin at work. It's just like some kind of component, or I don't even know what it is, to be honest. But I think it's going to work pretty cool. It's not 100% perfect, but I think it'll give the spirit of what I want. So I'm going to have to trim off a little bit of these pieces. It was a little long there. I did trim off a little on the back as well, and I sanded that off so it's nice and flush. I took the gun and I hacked off the front barrel in the front portion, but I realized I cut off too much. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this back on and then recut it so it's a little bit longer. Because I need to glue that little square piece on that you see in the original cartoon gun. So for that square piece, I have this just scrap plastic, and I've cut them to a little square or a little rectangle. Got some super glue there, dropped that on. I'm going to get that aligned up just perfect. And then from here, I'm going to actually do the same on the other side. And then once I have both sides done, I noticed the top kind of needed something. So I just trimmed a little piece. It's a little long, but I'll just sand it and clean it up later. All right, gluing on the barrel. And it actually stuck really well, so I was quite pleased. This is coming along nicely. Okay, so I got these two little lines on the gun, and I just used a piece of scrap plastic and glued those on. They used some scrap wire, and I made the scope that goes on the tip of his gun, so I'll just glue that on there. And then I was able to go and purchase a better green that matches, so yeah, this is going to look a lot nicer. So I'm going to just start painting some of the details on the Stormtrooper figure with this green. I'll kind of fill all that in. Now, for the shoes, in the cartoon, he's got these little lines, and so I'm using just a micron pen and kind of going through it, and it's kind of at this point I realized I really hate this. Like, it looks not quite right. So I wasn't quite sure what to do. I was showing my wife, and she said, hey, why don't you use the original feet? So I think after kind of just looking at it and examining it, don't love it. So yeah, here's the original feet. So I think what I need to do is trim these down and figure out a way to get them on. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. I went ahead and cut off the original Stormtrooper feet, got an X-Acto knife and started scoring this a little bit, trimmed off the legs. And when I cut the feet in half, there was a little bit of the shoe missing towards the back, so I did do a little bit of milliput and sculpted the back portion of the shoe. And I was looking at the hands thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, you know what? If I'm going to use his original feet, I might as well use his original hands. So I just trimmed off the arm there, and I think that's going to look pretty great, but like I said, they are white in the cartoon, the gloves are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal the pegs from the Stormtrooper's hand, and then I'm going to glue that on there, and then I'll get those painted up white, and I think that's going to work. All right, just a little wood base that I'm using. Got some clay here. I did want to do a little miniature diorama kind of thing, little base for him to sit on. And because he's Marvin the Martian, let's go ahead and make kind of like a planet sort of surface. So I just took this clump of clay, and I thought I kind of want to make some kind of crater. So it looks like maybe like the moon or just some kind of otherworldly planet. So I've got this little ball of clay, and then I'm going to take a screwdriver end here, and let's just mash this in here. And honestly, the screwdriver was just close, and so I thought, let's try that, and I think it worked. I'm just taking my sculpting tool and blending it in, and I'm going around as if it was a crater, and it just did the little mini explosion. So that looks pretty cool. I need to throw that in the oven and bake it. And now that it's baked, I'm going to go ahead and paint my base black. I'm going to paint this thing, I just picked a craft purple. In the cartoon, a lot of times the planet that he's on does have a purple kind of color to it. And then I found this metallic purple, and I'm going to just dry brush this metallic purple on here. And I think in the end, it's actually going to give kind of a cool effect. So I'm kind of liking how this looks. Maybe it's like a moon dust that's metallic-y. So yeah, that turned out kind of cool. I like it. All right, let's see. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. I'm just using some tacky glue. They actually sell this at the Dollar Tree now. So I'm going to glue the feet on. I'm going to put his head on, get his other hand on, and then we'll call this one finished. Okay, there it is. Oh, this was so much fun. I had such a great time. And I think listening to my wife and swapping out the feet and the hands was a really nice touch. And I think the building the old school blaster is also pretty cool. I still have the new blaster, so we can swap them out, but I like that. That's a nice touch. I don't know. It's like, it just brings a smile to my face. I'm so happy. This was a lot of fun. So let's take some turnaround shots of this. And as always, it's a great day to be a toy nerd. Have a great one.